what is going on? I mean, here we have so many things happening here in these United States. Obviously, 4 months or so ago, the Chinese Wuhan virus was put upon us, and so that kind of thing is happening, and then you have the George Floyd incident that happened, tragic as it was, and then all of a sudden it created an explosion of protests, and then those protests turned into riots and vandalism and stealing and looting. And this is going on in all the major cities around the country: Portland, Seattle, Chicago, Atlanta, to name a few. And there's a lot more than that too. There's like I said, protests and riots and shootings and killings and autonomous zones, police-free zones. The police, by their mayors and their told not to interfere with these protesters. And just case in point, in Seattle, that dimwit mayor she said that it's going to be a summer of love. Could be a summer of love, and then killings took place, and then that still didn't stop her from being complete in the stupid zone. It was only when the protest came to her home that she brought in the muscle, if you will, to clear that out, and then to finally clear out that autonomous zone in Seattle. And we see the sheepishness of people with, like, the Black Lives Matter movement. If you research the Black Lives Matter movement, you'll find that it was started and founded by women who are Marxist women. One of them, I don't know, she wasn't one, but she was a very Marxist woman, and she killed a policeman, a state policeman, was in jail, escaped jail, and fled to Cuba, where she got political asylum, and she's still there. I think her name is Shakar. And she's still in Cuba. But these other women have taken that mantra and that symbol, and they are Marxists themselves. And if you ever look at a Marxist state, what do you see? You see people being shut down, liberties being taken, freedoms being taken, a police state overtaking that type of a thing. So that's what we're seeing, and we're seeing, so yeah, I would really encourage you to look at Black Lives Matter in terms of who they are, who they were founded by, what is their statement. And I apologize, I had a couple of statements but I forgot to print them, which was sad. But they are very anti-America, very anti-God. They have the Black liberation theology. They have the a very Marxist base in their theology. It really is compared to, in my opinion, to the Ku Klux Klan when they started, and they were taking and putting fear into the people, into the Black lives that they were trying to kill and lynch and destroy, and also the people who helped them. So you see that I got an email from one of our beloved brothers and sister, and let me just see for a second to, I got to get it up. It was Steve and Francilia McDonald. Where is that thing? A basketball player from Houston, the Houston Rockets, a black man, um, James Harden. I don't know if anyone know him. He's a really good basketball player. I mean, I've seen him in the playoffs, and the guy is very, very, very good and one of the best players in the league. And he sported a pro-police hat, and he got, talking about Twitter, he got slammed, and so did the Houston Rockets on Twitter. And so what does that mean? You know, that they were totally against him doing that, and trying to shame him, trying to put fear into him, and fear into the Houston Rockets. So that's what I think we're seeing here today. Oh, actually, I do have the Black Lives Matter thing. Here's a quote from their website. Let's see, did I do more than one? I only did the one. But listen to this. It says, "We disrupt the Western prescribed nuclear family structure requirement by supporting each other as extended family and quote unquote villages that collectively care for one another, especially our children, to the degree that mothers, parents, and children are comfortable." So they're taking away the nucleus of the family that was instituted by Elohim. And saying that we now are. Remember that that village statement, that the first time we heard that it takes a village was Hillary Clinton way back. I don't know how many. I think it might have been the first time she ran against Barack Obama, and it said, and she mentioned it takes a village. Well, here it is. They're saying it takes a village to raise the children that are in a nuclear system. Not about the issues in the Black community where fathers are non-existent in a lot of cases, where they the breakdown of the nucleus family, and children are being raised in a very crime-ridden, drug-infested areas in a lot of cases, but yet the mayors and the governors and whoever all the officials in those cities are. All you can see is they're Democrats and Democrat-run cities, but yet they blame everybody else for their failures. So there's a fear factor that's coming upon us, and we are not in fear. We are in faith and trust and belief in the one true Elohim. But yet, if you say something that's pro America, pro flag, pro Elohim, pro police, there's no dialogue. There is no dialogue happening. It is total shaming, total putting fear into people so that they will totally shut up and not say a word and just back down. So that's happening today, and we need to overcome that. We need to be voices of righteousness in this day. We're going to talk something about the Torah, and it's going to be interesting in light of what's going on here, because what we learn, what the Father shows us, we cannot keep to ourselves. We need to bring it out. We need to speak out. We need to act upon that which the Father has given us. So, 2 Timothy said, God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Romans 8:15, the spirit you received does not make you slaves so that you live in fear again. Rather, the spirit you received brought about your adoption to sonship, and by him we cry, Abba, Father. And then Psalm 34 verse 4, I sought the Lord and he answered me and delivered me from all my fears. So, Jamie, we see this overwhelming minority, a very loud minority, that for some reason I see businesses taking on this on this cause, if you will. You know, because the thing is, there's a misnomer here. It says Black Lives Matter, but in Chicago, in the last month, I think there was 11 black children that were killed in Chicago alone. One was a month old. There was a 3-month-old, and there's like 6, 9, 10. Black lives. Well, what about these children? What about these black babies? Not even talking about the abortions that take place, because that's even worse. And then just recently, I think it was this past week, not even a 2-year-old baby was killed in New York. But there's no outrage. So is this George Floyd thing really something that's really the catalyst of this, or is there some more agenda going on here that they're trying to create this fear to shut down voices like you and I and AviGayle and everyone else?
Well, I think that what we're seeing is, President Trump actually said, with the invisible war, he mentioned that back in March. He said, we are in a war, a true war. I believe it's even bigger than that. I think this is World War III. This is the biggest war that we've ever had. And what it is it's a war of information. The information that we get has been so overtaken by, and I'm going to call it the enemy, the other side, that we don't get any information on the airways unless you go to an alternate source. You won't get any good information. Then you have to seek it out and check it out, or to make sure that it's even true. So what we have is we have a war, and it's a war exactly of what we're doing. It's a war of words. It's a war, just the Torah portion that we're doing, Devarim. It's a war on the word. It's not a war on the light. It's a war on Torah. It's a war on families. It's a war on everything that most people in America have been raised with in a good foundational home, in a family. What they've done is they want to destroy the unit. They want to make a village out of us. They want us to make somebody that you can't identify, that you're just one of the masks in the parade. You're just one of the masks in the mob. And they've decided to influence us this way, in such a big way. What I'm so proud of is the fact that President Trump, and you mentioned the different cities, Seattle, Portland, New York, Philadelphia, these cities are all controlled and have been controlled by a Democrat government, and basically a liberal Democrat government that wants to bring in the socialist communist plan. So that, if most of these countries, like in Venezuela or Russia or anywhere, I'm presently in the process of finishing the book by John Solomon. He just did a thing called Fallout. It's a great book. It's about all the stuff that's been happening over the last 3 years that he really emphasizes and shares in the first few chapters. I haven't finished the book, but about who Russia is and really how Putin became powerful and how he became dominant in that country. And it was so corrupt. The whole country was so corrupt. The whole situation is just evil. It's like a mafia. It's like the same thing has happened here. You look at, and I'll say the name, Pelosi and Schumer and this is a corrupt system that has gotten in place. What President Trump has decided to do and is doing is, because we have been so brainwashed and nullified our thinking about what's going on, he's exposing these by allowing, like Portland, like Seattle, to do the things they're doing and exposing all the truth about who they really are, exposing the truth of who Black Lives Matters really is. He's letting this stuff come up. Meanwhile, putting underneath it a force that I believe is going into inaction, and it's going to destroy this. And we're going to see it over the next 8 weeks. We're going to see a lot of wonderful things that are going to look horrible happen. but it's going to be just such an uproar. But we got to get prepared to watch it with the right look. There's some really good sources out there that you can get the information and get the right information, but you got to check it out, do your research, study it out. But biggest thing of all is keep your nose in the Word, keep your mind on God, keep your, if you understand what praying in the Spirit is, if you don't, find out, get that Spirit working, and just build as much warfare in the spiritual warfare. It's, put on the whole armor of God time. We got to wear everything and be ready to go.
That's interesting too, because you have this lockdown, if you will, keeping people in their homes, and really, if you think of it, the ones that adhere to it, that can adhere to it, are, more than likely good people, and wanting to do what is right, but yet you have all these protests and riots and looting and all the burning of the cities, but yet those are sanctioned by the mayors of those cities and the governors of those states in a lot of cases, and we need, so the voices are brought down because the people that are doing the right thing are in a lot of cases are staying home, and our voices are being silenced. But we need to, because think about this. I mean, the blue cities are burning. The blue cities are crumbling. People in those cities are there's a housing explosion in the suburbs because you have a lot of people from the cities are now moving out of those cities. Has their thinking changed at all? Coming out of the cities, being probably more than likely staunch Democrats, liberals, progressives, Green New Deal type people, and then going out to the suburbs, have they been changed? If in fact someone like Biden gets in, who's going to be just a puppet of the progressive left and the AOCs and the Pelosi's and the Schumers of this world and all of them, he'll just be a puppet for them. Do you think if this kind of rioting and all that kind of bleeds into red states, that that someone like a Biden would do something to protect the offer like President Trump has offered? They may not have received it, and they may not have said that we want anything, we're fine, but red states would be a little bit different. But would Biden offer that? I don't think so. So this is a very, very important time, a very, very important election. Whether you like President Trump or not, he is someone who says what he does and does what he says. He is promises made, promises kept. I mean, there's nobody in my lifetime and even in the history that I know, maybe that did more. Possibly George Washington, because he had to do it all. So he had to create this thing, from scratch, if you will, with the help of the Father and the good patriots that were around him. But today, you just got this divide, and it's horrible. AviGayle.
I agree with both of you. We're in a very I'm just going to use that one word. It's lawless. When there's no law and order, then then people go and do what they want to do and what they can do, and there's no repercussions for it. And we've reached a point where truly, I mean, we are really at a point in time where some major decisions have to be made with we the people. I mean, we the people who belong to the Father, because it has totally gotten out of control, and it's a spiritual battle. It's a spiritual battle. I mean, it's written. It said that this was going to happen. You know, there were times when there would be fishers of men, and then there would be times when there was
Hunters.
hunters.
Yeah.
And we've talked about this for years. We talked about this for years, and I would be like, oh my goodness, you know, this is something that it's upon us today. And I have to say, in all honesty, I believe in speaking the truth. You know, we like our father and mother Adam and Ahava. We were called in this United States of America to guard this land of the free. You know, freedom does not come just by everybody doing what's right in their own eyes. There's a price for freedom. There's a price for liberty. And when we let down the guard, that's when we have issues. And you know, it's interesting, you know, the way the Constitution is set up. You know, if you know, we've been doing evaluating the Constitution on Mark David Smith, Contemplating the Constitution. And that Constitution was written hundreds of years ago. And hundreds of years ago, it was enforced. And the majority of the people that were part of writing the Constitution were God-fearers. They worshipped God. They know what it was like to escape the oppression of a king. So they had that fervor in their blood. They had that fervor to say, we're thankful that we're here. Were they perfect? No. But when you read the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence, you see an amazing truth woven in and through the Constitution. But when you also read the Constitution, you look at the people who are in the Senate and in the Congress that are making these decisions, and they cannot relate to the average individual. They've made a career out of their position. And because they've made a career out of their position, they've reaped a lot of money. So they are in a different class altogether. Gated communities, Secret Service people, you know, I mean, they just are in a totally different mindset. So I say it all the time, and I can't stop saying that we're up against a spiritual battle. The good news is there's more for us than against us. It doesn't seem that way when we look at the media, because we look at the media and we're like, oh my. But we have the creator of heaven and earth, Yahweh Zavaot, on our side. If we are on his side, we can't build this country without his help. We cannot. And that's why I pray all the time for President Trump and for all of the people that are in his administration to call out to the Father, creator of heaven and earth, because we cannot fight this battle without him. We have got to. The fact of the matter is, he was taken out of the schools in this country. No more Bibles in school, no more 10 commandments on the walls, no more 10 commandments on the government houses, the townhouses, the city halls and everything. No more praying in school. I mean, drip, drip, drip. He was taken away from the United States of America, which was founded because of him. He helped us he helped establish this country. It's a refuge for us who are on our way to Israel. But the bottom line is this: we've let down the guard. We haven't been watching and praying. We haven't been watchmen on the walls. We haven't been guarding against. We haven't been those people that have a voice, and we haven't been exercising that voice. I'm not saying everybody, but I really believe that I'm hoping and I am praying, and I trust that the Father is also working with us, that there will be people who will turn their hearts back to the Father and repent, and they'll see what's happening. And there'll be something that'll be stirring in their heart that they'll say, I have no place else to turn but to the creator of heaven and earth. I have to turn to him because I don't see any way that we're going to get through this without his help. We have to do our part, but we also have to yield to what he has called us to do. And I just think that because it's a spiritual battle, That's what we have to tell people. Those of us who have been guarding, and those of us who have been praying, and those of us who have been voices of righteousness, when we have a chance to talk to people, we have to say, have you been praying to the creator of heaven and earth, the mighty Elohim, the one that delivered our forefathers from Mitzrayim, from chaos, from Pharaoh, out of slavery and darkness?
Amen.
We need to teshuvah, we need to repent, and we need to trust in him. We need his help. We cannot do it without him.
Amen. Amen.
We are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussion, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the MessianicLambRadio.com website. I'm Susan Hoogie, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network.